Hey everybody, it's Leeroy from Leeroy Gaming, and in today's video I'm going to introduce you to Grid Force Mask of the Goddess. This is a grid-based bullet hell action RPG with a cast of up to 30 different characters that you can bring into your squad of 4, as lightning fast combat, surprisingly deep customization as well, that has a very retro comic book feel to it. Now in this video that I'm hoping to be about 30 minutes in length or so, I'm going to kind of show you how the game begins, go over some of the combat, character customization, etc., and see if this is something you may want to enjoy. Now, I'm going to be quite honest on my initial impressions. I feel like this game is not going to be for everybody, and I feel like it may alienate a very specific part of its potential player base. Now, from everything I've gathered, this game has a theme that's very progressive. It's very kind of strong feminist empowerment kind of a feel in the gameplay and the story. It's right in your face, especially with, from what I can gather, all the characters being females. So this may be for some people and not for others. The color palette, as you can kind of see, the main character's got that pink hair going on. Some individuals may not be into this. For example, I'm more of a person that normally likes kind of Darkest Dungeon aesthetic, dark fantasy, high fantasy, Warhammer 40k, kind of grim, dark kind of feel for my games. So this isn't normally up my alley, but I didn't want to be judgmental. I wanted to give this a shot, and this game definitely has some fun mechanics. So even if initially you may be slightly turned off by this, I hope you guys check it out and give this game a chance before you pass full judgment. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at Grid Force Mask of the Goddess. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you want to see more previews from me, and let's go. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and start a new game, and I am going to be skipping most of the kind of story here, but I did want to kind of show you guys some of the kind of graphics when it comes to the story elements. As you're going to see, it's very comic book-y, I guess you could call it. And again, some of these elements are voiced over, some are not, like this is not. But in short, the initial story relies on your main character waking up, not knowing what's going on. It looks like the world kind of recycles. There's like doom, and everything kind of restarts. As you can see, the narrator telling you to wake up.
Wake up.
And again, you could probably already guess whether the art style is yours or not. But we are gonna get right into the gameplay here in a second. And of course, you're more than welcome to pause at any point if you want to see. The art is quite beautiful, I will say, the comic book style. So if you do like comic book style graphics, you like this, there are going to be elements that are going to be taught to you throughout. I'm going to show the tutorial because it kind of goes real nice and smooth and teaches you the movements. So this is the grid right here that you fight on. Now you can use a controller, or I use ASD controls. Of course, there's a little story. You get introduced to characters. Again, I'm going to be skipping through it. And at first it starts very basic. So you move and then you shoot with spacebar. Or on the controllers you can see A. You can kind of move out of the way. Dodging. So it starts very, very basic. But let me tell you, it's really not basic at all. In fact, it gets pretty complicated. So there we go. We got taught the basic of combat. After each combat, you get to pick up these kind of gems. And these are really different elements that you're going to be using later for upgrades. And we'll go over that in just a little bit.
Get ready, fight.
Now you will notice buffs, potions and stuff drop. And you're going to get through. So for example, spacebar for me is the basic attack. But now you get a special attack or a power attack, which is Q. There you go. And each character has different special attacks. For example, this is mine. You'll also notice on the lower left-hand corner, where it shows my character portrait, there was an orange bar. You can see it right below player 1 and the green health bar. And that is kind of your special power energy bar. So you charge this up by picking up potions. There we go, and it's back to full. And here are some more materials for killing those enemies. So again, still pretty basic so far, but the abilities and tactics are going to get layered down. And there's going to be, as you can see, kind of options of what you can say. Sometimes it doesn't matter what you say, but other times it will actually have different impacts on the story, what characters may join your team or may not. So without spoilers, there is kind of like a, I don't want to call it a choose your own adventure, but definitely choose your own path kind of element to it. The music, is you can probably hear in the background, is also pretty cool. Kind of I don't know quite what to call it, kind of cyberpunk, cybernetic music. The monster art style is pretty cool. There's lots of different enemy types. And so here we're actually getting introduced to the second character that's going to be on our team. And again, from everybody I've met so far, they're all females. That might be up some people's alleys. I prefer diversity. I like strong females. But I also like to have cool, like, male characters too. And again, from everything I gather, and again, I have not beat the game, but everything I gather, I've only found females so far. So you may like that or you may not. Now she joins her squad, but what's going to happen is you actually don't control them at the same time. But I'll show you how this works. So here's a major mechanic that I'm okay with. It adds a lot of complexity, but also adds a lot of confusion. So there's an elemental system, and if you played any game that kind of has the rock, paper, scissors element, this has this, but it's on 6 elements. So it has, for example, the green earth is strong against light. Light is strong against dark. Dark is strong against water. I don't know how that works. Water is strong against fire. Fire is good against air. And air is good against earth. So your character attacks have different elements. And so do enemies. If you take a look at your character, you're going to see icons, colored icons, and they will dictate your elements. So for example, if you take a look in the bottom left-hand corner, it's going to have our portrait. And right there's a little kind of a square like this, and ours is the color of the light, so we are light powered. So for example, we would be very weak against earth attacks. So I think this is what's going to show us how that works.
Get ready, fight.
So notice to the right of the enemies there's a green icon, and this exactly means that that's an earth, and notice we're doing almost no damage. Now if I hit 2, I swap characters, and this character on the other hand is strong against earth, because notice she's got like a little white icon, which is air, and air is strong against earth. Now notice I'm using her celestial attack. It's different. It shoots multiple projectiles towards only the back row. So there's a strategy how you play, and as you can probably see, you already have this dynamic of swapping between characters depending on what you're fighting, but you do have to remember the little wheel of what is strong against what, which can be a little confusing. And especially as you will see here, we're going to end up having up to 4 different characters, and during the tutorial we're going to get our first 4. So here's another character, the samurai girl. She's actually really cool, and she does fire damage. So I believe, see, I'm already, I think fire is good against air, so it's good against white. And here we're going to also learn the next mechanic, which is kind of blocking and reflecting, which is on your controller LT or shift. And I'm again using shift, so sorry if you guys hear all the clicking. And there's an element, because if you do time your blocks, you can reflect them back. So I really appreciate that extra depth. So this character's super fast. If you try and shoot her, you're not going to do much damage. But if you reflect her attacks against her, you can be quite effective. And so again, now you already have like the dodging mechanic that you're dealing with, and we're also now dealing with the blocking. and you can block the normal attacks as well as the special attacks. Although, as it'll teach us, you can't block every attack, especially kind of attacks that kind of target the ground, as you'll see. There we go. Hit our special attacks on her. There we go. And we conquered her. And she's going to join us. And again, she is big on fire damage, so, you know, she would have dropped fire tokens, but again, she's on our side. And again, as far as art direction, they're all very unique and cool. All the ones I've seen so far for the most part. But again, it's not a style that's for everybody. So let's take a look. Now we have 3 different types. So again, you'll notice from what we can see, let's see what element these guys are. So they are orange. So they're light. So earth would be strong against them, but we don't have earth. But we can go ahead and swap, and let's see, like, I think actually fire is, I don't know, apparently it's not that strong against it. The special attacks are strong against everybody, apparently. So now, these attacks that you're seeing, those launches, you cannot knock those back, so you just gotta dodge them. So since it's the same element, it's not strong or weak, so you can basically kind of go directly against them, which is fine. And so here's our 4th character. So again, very dramatic aesthetics here. So this is the big tanky, busty character. So she's gonna have lots of health, kind of slower, but hits hard. And probably won't be a surprise, she's the big mountain earth element. So she's gonna be good against light. But let's go ahead and show you her difference, how she plays. So again, her special attack is way different. Got the slow moving attack that's almost like a mortar, and it hits multiple. It's pretty cool. And she's got I guess you could call it like a little missile launcher. So again, so some enemies are really tough. Hit them repeatedly, they get staggered. So you can stagger enemies, and then once they get staggered, they take mega damage. So, you know, we're trying to get them staggered. There we go. And then when they're staggered, they're going to take a ton of damage. Although they're not, I just bounced them back. They weren't really showing me being staggered there. There you go. So I think we just ended up killing her. But you get the idea. So if you target one enemy, hit them a lot of times, even if you're not doing a ton of damage, you can stagger them, and they will take a bunch of bonus damage. So now we've been introduced to the first 4 main characters. We get introduced to this goddess character. That's a big part of the story. Again, won't spoil anything here. And I'm going to go ahead and skip this. And then I want to show you a really cool mechanic here coming up that adds even more depth. So here's another, again, really, that's a pretty cool comic kind of story elements again. Now personally, I didn't find the story super crazy interesting, but you know, it's up to personal preference. However, the combat's pretty cool. And so there's a little tutorial. And now we're going to be introduced in just a second, I believe, to the upgrade system, which is pretty darn cool. Alright, so here we are. Here's the area you can save. And here are the different areas. So the tutorial area was Clea's Temple. Second area is Tahora. We're going to go ahead and go here. And so this is kind of cool. This is the area that you start with, kind of in between the areas you go into. And you can manage your squad. So when we get here, there's basically some cool options. So here's your actual squad menu. You can switch characters, you can upgrade your characters, and you can equip masks. We have not unlocked any masks yet, obviously. But this is pretty cool. So first I want to show when you go to switch characters, or it should, I guess it's going to force us to do the upgrades first. So you will notice that on the bottom left-hand corner, you're going to have kind of your health, force, luck, defense, power, and speed bars, and they are related to certain elements. And as you can see, there's a dark gray and a light gray, and the light gray is the maximum a stat can go. And this will give you an idea what kind of character this is. So this character is very balanced, but it's still offensive. It has low defense. And you're going to be able to upgrade any of these levels by putting in these elements that we had gathered when we were basically playing the game and beating monsters. Now, this is shared across all the characters. Also, what it's saying here is some attributes are easier to evolve than others, but if you decide to evolve the same attribute more than once in a row, your unit will receive a bonus in that attribute, advancing them beyond their natural limits, so like +2, +3. So, I don't know how I feel about this, because it kind of promotes you just dogpiling onto one stat. And it feels kind of bad if you spread it out and you miss those bonuses. So I feel like there's a pressure to always at least max out one of the stats to get that +3, for example. Otherwise, you'd miss out. So, I don't know. If you don't care about min-maxing, it's not a big deal. But if you're a min-maxer, you may not like that. So here are the stats. So, for example, let's just go ahead. Fire is pretty high for her, but one of the other characters is big on fire. So let's go ahead and just buff her light a little bit. So I'm going to put points. And you notice as this goes up, once it hits this little diamond here, it's going to unlock different elements. And eventually, as you get your scores higher and higher, you're going to unlock different attacks. So different basic attacks, special attacks, and super attacks as well. So I put 5 points, and I got this all the way to this second tier of 12. But notice it's much slower to get to the next tier. So we put 5 more points in and only made it about a quarter way there. So there is kind of diminishing returns. Now let's take a look at the squad. Now, when you go, or sorry, rather unit screen, so this gives you a story of the character. If you like all the data on the right-hand side, it shows you all the specific data related to your stats, your health, regen, force regen, crit chance, etc. You can also see what their attacks look like, which is pretty cool. And you can also upgrade your unit using what they call sigils from getting the enemy. So that's pretty cool as well. So here, as you can see, my Magma Pulse is kind of the first special attack I have. And if I had more, I could cycle through them. Now, I can go to the right, and you can see the stats for the other characters. So this one, notice, has very high power, very high force, but really bad defense. And then the other stats kind of middling. This character, Koniko, has really high speed and power and luck, but lower defense, health, and force. And then the final character we've unlocked, huge health, a very low speed, and then the other stats are kind of, higher defense than anybody else and kind of more balanced. And as you can see, there's a lot of characters here that you can unlock over the period of the game. So lots and lots of diversity. Again, they say diversity, so from what I can see, I think it's all female. So it's female diversity. It's a little misleading if you ask me. If you're going to say diversity, I figure you'd have male and female characters, but, that's a choice the developer made. And so if you're into that, that's awesome. If you're not, again, you may be slightly turned off. Here are the masks. Again, nothing's unlocked. It shows little goals. These are achievements. And then bestiary. Here's a bunch of the enemy types. So there's a lot of different enemy types that you're going to unlock over time, and you can kind of go through what types they are, what elements, etc. So it's pretty cool. Again, and if we had more than 4 characters already, we would be able to go here and switch them up. Let's quickly take a look. For example, I can upgrade this character. Let's give her, for example, a little bit of fire. It's just kind of our fire girl. And we were able to upgrade her 2 times. You'll notice it right here. It says +2 because we went twice in a row. So we would, if we want to min-max again, want to make sure we get at least that +3 before we swap over to something else. And again, if we're going to kind of stick to that element, then we can go ahead and also min-max this character. And she's got a lot of health, so let's max out her earth. There we go. And a similar kind of level of progress on her. And the final character here, this character is not quite as easy because she actually has really high force and also fire. We've used both of those. So unfortunately, we don't really have anything to pump her with right now. So we're not going to upgrade her. So that's kind of how that works. So now let's say you do this. You're going to go ahead and select the next area. And let's show you a little bit more of the combat. It gets a little harder than the tutorial. So I wanted to show that off in the last 10 minutes of here to show you some extra content. And again, you're going to have this entire rich story that's comic book based. There's going to be choices. And depending on your choices, it will have consequences. Some of it is like black and white like this, like manga style, I guess. So here again, we can investigate, we can continue. You know, if we investigate, you may run into a new character or a new story element. So that's pretty cool. I prefer to color comics, obviously. It almost looks like it's unfinished, although I'm pretty sure it's intentional, the different types of comic book art style here. Alright, so here we go. Again, you start with your main character. So this one is white. I'm trying to remember. So fire is strong against them. So again, I'm going to swap over to white. And notice she just mops up the white ones because fire is so strong against this. There we go. Bounce. So again, if you play the rock, paper, scissors element correctly, you can do real well. But remember, you can have only 4 characters and there's 6 elements. So it's very possible that you could have a setup that's not so strong. And this is where if you do multiple playthroughs of the same area, you could go and change your character setup so you can get better results and get some of those achievements. So here it is between levels. You can go and pick up elements. There's also opportunities to talk to characters. And they'll give you a little story. And also, you can go, if you have enough elements to level up, you can go here. And this will temporarily, you can save, for example. So we'll just we'll save here, why not? And you can also go to your squad and upgrade. So if you wanted to upgrade one of the characters, you can go ahead and do that. Again, we got a bunch of air power here. I don't really want to pump anybody with air here. Actually, you know what? She's going to be really good with air. So let's upgrade her, make her even more powerful. Now, notice what I did here. I no longer got the +3 buff to fire because I swapped from fire. So now if you look at the bottom here, we had gotten the +2 to fire, but then we started building up the white element. So this is non-min-maxed. Again, if I wanted to min-max this, I would have gone ahead and min-maxed the fire, gotten +3 on that, and then moved on. So this is definitely inefficient, I guess you could say, but I wanted to show it as an example. Here we go, so we're done here, and we move on to the next area. Now, I have not played with a controller, but I'm assuming it's going to be on console too. So here's water, and water is really strong against fire, obviously. I don't remember what it's weak against. It's not air, or is it air? No, it's like darkness or something. We don't have darkness. So basically in a situation like that, you just don't want to pick anything that it's weak against. So it's, in a way, it's not too bad. We'll go with this main character because she's pretty powerful. And let's see, you can bounce these in theory. See, we bounce them back. And now, if you get beat, notice I'm getting low on health. So I could choose to swap over. But if you get knocked out, it basically brings in your next character. So they're just out for the combat. So you do have to balance that out. But they come back the next kind of map with full health again. Again, there's always a little bit of story. Again, I'm just skipping that for now. But they banter between themselves, and then new characters get introduced. And if I remember correctly, we're about to get introduced to another character. So here's another character. You're not always going to get instant access to him. once you beat them, as you'll probably see in this option. And so we're going to fight this individual, and then there's going to be an important choice that I'll show you guys after the combat. Now, right here you'll notice you don't see her her element on her character, but if you look in the upper right hand corner, you see she's green, so she's earth based. So I believe I think air is strong against earth, if I remember correctly. Again, I could be wrong. I don't remember this stuff exactly. Yeah, it says effective, so that's the other way. If you're not sure, if you do damage to them and it says effective, you know you guessed it right. If it says ineffective, you're doing it wrong. So again, here she's stunned, and now notice we're doing way bigger hits. Oh, probably shouldn't have moved. Oh, and also this character's notice her special ability is called Mimic, where she copies attacks. Unfortunately, we did get knocked out. So this was a good example of showing how that looks. So again, she's much harder comparatively speaking. There you go, she's almost broken, she's stunned. Now you just want to go all out and burn her down if you can. There we go. So now I'll show you guys a quick example when it comes to story, your choices here. So, you defeat her. I guess this is one of the girl's sisters. And here are the story decisions. And these are permanent choices. So you can either say we can't save everybody and let her die, or we need to help her and save her life. So this is going to obviously be a big deal. Now, because there are 30 characters, if you lose some, it's not going to be like you can't get another character. But we'd be nice here in this situation. If you want to see what happens when you let her die, well, obviously you're going to want to give this game a try and choose that yourself. So you save her life, and then you may very well get a chance for her to play with you later in the story. But from what I see, she doesn't join you immediately. So, again, here we healed her. The alternative would have just to let her die, and you move on. And as you go through the story, it's going to have a variety of these options. Obviously, not all life or death, but they are going to alter how your game plays. And so as you can see, now you've seen the whole basic pattern of the game. You go, you get these different materials for leveling up. You always have an opportunity to level up if you want, change your characters, change your squad members, and that's how it kind of goes. Now, you'll notice there's a lot of upgrading. Each of these characters are 1-star right now, and if you fully upgrade them, you're gonna be able to get them, I believe, up to 10 stars. And again, you unlock different abilities. They haven't even introduced masks yet, but that's another thing that's gonna help you power up. And again, as discussed previously, you're gonna be able to unlock a variety of different abilities. So for here, this character, for example, we already have the Fury damage, and then we're gonna get a buff called Shadow Dance, a hybrid Fire Dance, Bleeding Fury, Fire Death, and Wind Walker. So these characters do get more powerful, they get more varied, and you can kind of customize them to your own strengths and likes. So that is the game as a whole. If you like the play style, if you like the graphic style, then this may definitely be something that you should check out. It is now available on Steam. You can go ahead and check it out. There's a link below in the video. It is also available on major consoles. This does definitely feel like something that's made to be played with a controller, but as I mentioned, I played it with a keyboard and I had no issues whatsoever. I felt it was quite responsive, so you can pick one or the other. So what are your thoughts on this game based on my preview here? Does this interest you? Are you turned off at all by the aesthetic and style? Sound off in the comments below. Would love to hear from you. And again, make sure to drop a like and subscribe, and leave me a comment if you want to see me do more video game previews and reviews. With that, Thank you for all the support as always, and I will see you guys in the next video.